Welcome back to another Enshrouded video. We've got the first big patch release for Enshrouded that brings you a long list of fixes, gameplay changes and performance improvements. Not to mention the rake is now finally craftable. Respawn timers have been cut by 75%, but did they touch the godly acid bite? Today we are taking a look at all of these changes in Enshrouded's first big patch. Up until now they've put out a number of hotfixes to resolve multiple important issues, but in terms of gameplay changes, this is where it all starts to happen. Do note though, this patch isn't introducing new content yet, but that is still yet to come, and they are planning on putting out a roadmap for Enshrouded at some point in the next few weeks. So let's take a look at what's changed. As always, Flameborn, make sure to subscribe to keep up with all the latest Enshrouded news. So the developers actually highlighted some of the items that they feel are particularly important for players. So I'm going to cover those first before looking at what else has changed. First up is the respawn timer for content in the game world, which has been lowered to 30 minutes. This was previously set to 2 hours. This is a pretty big change in the game. This is mainly going to benefit co-op players on servers rather than single player. The reason this was reduced was because when playing with a group of friends looting chests, beating bosses, etc., the rewards are taken by one player. And if they can, they might share the loot. But when it comes to weapons or anything where you only get one as a reward, it's one item for the whole group, meaning players would have to wait 2 hours for them to respawn or go through the lengths of restarting the server to get the rewards themselves. But the reset still only occurs while no player is in the direct vicinity of the part of the world that needs resetting. This means you need to stay away from that part of the map for those 30 minutes. I believe if you go back there within the 30 minutes, then that timer restarts to 30 minutes again. The recipe for the rake is now finally fixed. Anyone that experienced their recipe disappear from the workbench should now find it listed in there again. A very important fix, meaning players can now craft the scrappy rake as well and go about flattening their land in their building adventures. It does mean that the server that was set up dedicated for freely handing out rakes is likely to be of no more use. They've lowered the cost for tin bars to align them better with similar recipes like iron and copper. It now costs you 15 tin ore to get 3 tin bars, as before it would take 20 tin ore to get 1 measly bar. So they've decreased the number of tin ore required, but also increased the bars gained. This means you now just need 15 tin ore to make enough bars to make 10 bronze bars. Definitely a big improvement on before. There's been some performance improvements, some of these relating specifically to AMD GPUs, and some crashes have been resolved. Of course, how improved these actually are will be a matter of playing and seeing how much it's improved. But the instances where a too low resolution of texture was used on objects in the world should be pretty noticeable, hopefully. I've often found some strange colouring and blackness appear on certain structures, particularly as they come into focus when I'm gliding. I'm not sure if this is touching upon that, but there's only one way to find out. But every little bit of improvement does help. So the game world changes and fixes include the Cinder Fault door entry blocking players is now resolved. This was an issue right at the start of a new game which impacted some players, not all, being able to get through the door. They've improved the visibility of amber nodes and added a few new locations in the game where amber can be found. You can see here this is what they look like now after the patch. They are much more prominent on the side of the rock, sticking right out in front of you. Much better than it was and easier to spot than it was before. I don't know yet where the new locations are, but I'm sure there will be videos pop up on YouTube showing you the new locations. But this specific location is just east of Revelwood Spire. You can see it right now on the map. That's where it's located. Some points of interest and areas of the map have been polished and fixed. Now what this means for any areas where people have built structures, I guess there's always a possibility things might change, but hopefully if it does, it's not too much and structures should remain anyway, considering you can make floating structures. Also, I can confirm that although ground fog visuals have supposedly been improved, you're still probably going to be getting fog inside your base like I have. Although it's more of an aesthetic issue, it is pretty annoying. Gameplay changes. There's a few here that may not please some players, and there's also some that aren't here that might surprise you. Firstly, Acid Bite does not appear to have been nerfed at all. No matter what you say, it genuinely is overpowered, considering you can use Eternal Acid Bite to one-hit the Wisp Wyvern boss, or use the regular Acid Bite to two-hit him. Surely a boss isn't meant to be defeated as simply as that. And although I've seen a lot of people comment on it in the Enshrouded Discord, the developers don't appear to have touched on it, and I'm pretty surprised that they haven't, considering so many people have referred to it. They did, however, say they've reduced the damage from some poison attacks, especially the poison attack from the Scavenger Matron that caused too much damage. From what I've heard and seen, this isn't replicated with the Acid Bite, it's more of a enemy nerf than a player one, even though the poison is basically Acid Bite itself. They've brought forward the second tier advanced glider so it can be crafted earlier in the game. I'm not sure at what stage this is now available. Upgrading equipment will now take runes from magical storage chests. I don't know about you, but my storage boxes are a complete mess. I haven't organised them at all, so I don't know what's in what box. And the thing about magical storage boxes is only the NPCs will detect what is in them. If you use the individual crafting stations such as a smelter or the kiln, you still need to have the ingredients in your inventory. But this is likely due to the fact that a lot of those sort of structures are auto crafting as soon as you put the ingredients into the structure. Now, there's been a bug fix or nerf, whichever way you want to look at it, in regards to spring jumping and chain long sprint jumps. This is something that I actually didn't really know much about myself, but some people are a little disappointed that it's been nerfed. But I guess it wasn't meant to be. And that is that players could seamlessly chain long sprint jumps and therefore traverse the map faster than intended. Now, it is required to take a short run up for every long sprint jump. So I don't know how players feel about that, but there has been a bit of a mix on people's thoughts around that. I don't know about you, but have you ever been in a position where you've got a hook anchor behind you without knowing and pressing E pulling you towards it? Well, that's been fixed. No longer will you suddenly and unexpectedly get pulled backwards. They've made changes to some skills, notably the water aura skill, which has been reduced, I believe, by 50%. It's still pretty effective, but no longer as much before. Previously, it was so overpowered that you ended up getting healed quicker than you got damaged. A lot of people have been talking about this particular change since the patch came out. Some were hoping that it wouldn't get touched like the Acid Bite didn't, but it's still a pretty effective skill to have. Then there's some more random gameplay fixes in the list, just a few things here and there. I won't go through every single one because it would just literally be me just reading out the lines. And lastly, there were some building, terraforming and UI fixes, but nothing really big to report on, just some little things again here and there. But overall, a pretty big patch for Enshrouded and its first big patch outside of hotfixes. But now I've got to get back to renovating the Rattlebleak town, where I'm setting up my base and restoring all of the structures that are there. It's a huge project, something that's going to keep me busy for a long time. Thanks for watching, Flameborn, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with all the latest Enshrouded news.